tenor Nicholas Martin is returning to Gibraltar to perform for the first time in maybe 25 years. Is that right, Nicholas?
Officially, yes. It's been that long.
Welcome to the Radio Gibraltar studios. Nicholas is playing with the internationally acclaimed pianist Lora Dimitrova, and they're promising an unforgettable recital of Argentinian tangos, Latin American and Spanish songs. And it's happening later this month. Talk to us a little bit about the show and how you're preparing it.
Well, pretty much it's a repertoire that I've been working for over 10 years, and it's something that I've always been very passionate about, coming from Castle and Bay. I used to sing a lot of Italian repertoire, opera and all that, and I said, well, it'd be good to do something which ticks outside the box. So, tangos was the first thing that came to my mind, because a lot of people do sing boleros and all of that sort of repertoire. But then I said, if I do tangos and I do it in a sort of a crossover genre, because it's quite folkloric, and singing it with a classical voice, it will give a different angle to the sound and the quality of the music. And indeed, I've been working on it for quite some time. About 10 years ago, I recorded 8 songs that we've just released on a vinyl called Destello Azul, and that was originally done with an ensemble which was bandoneon, guitar, cello, cajon and percussion, and piano. So that was it, and it came up really, really well. And then we started elaborating with all that, and then I started collaborating with Lora Dimitrova after 20 years, whom I've known, but she's been very busy. I had been very busy, and then we said, why don't we just collaborate together? And we started working, and she is a top world-class pianist to work with. She was performing with the late Sir George Solti, which was one of the biggest conductors in the planet. And she suddenly said, yes, I think it's time for us to start working together. And it's been brilliant, because she comes from a Russian background of music, and she has this amazing warmth. She really does capture the Latin quality of music in a format and in a way that it really does, it really does perceive in such a wonderful way that when we work together, it's just a lot of great warmth. The repertoire is very popular. So it is music that everybody is going to enjoy and listen. A lot of people will be familiar to the songs. And
what sort of thing?
Well, there'll be songs from tangos from Gardel, Piazzolla, and then I've also incorporated some songs which are ballads like Hijo de la Luna in a very different style.
Because you're an opera singer?
I'm a classical trained opera singer, yes. When it comes to opera, it is a very competitive world, and it's a very hard world, and and it's a very sacrificed world, and especially in this day and age after COVID and all that, everything financially is very saturated. So, even prior to that, I said it's always good to do something completely different and have your niche and have something that is completely, a classical singer can't do unless you were born into that culture and know what you're doing. So in that respect, I said, I'm going to do this. I can still sing arias. I still teach prolifically a lot of singers in the West End, Broadway, BBC. I've had most of my singers doing lead roles, at the Coliseum, sung along Sunset Boulevard with Glenn Close. I've had most of my students have done lead roles everywhere in the West End. But then you said, well, so that is all very well and good, but, I wanted also to perform. I was paying a mortgage, teaching was a steady income coming in. Yep. Now, mortgage free, I've got the freedom to do what I want to do. So I'm literally doing what I want to do apart from the teaching. So it's great. And it's something that's been building up for quite some time. And, it's not that I said I'm going to prepare this music for this concert at all. No, it's something that I did. I actually did a similar recital to this in Kensington last year. Down in Sloane Square. So it's just something that's been building up, and we're still sort of sorting out the last few songs and the encores and all that.
So we're talking about a concert that's happening on Thursday, the 25th of September at the Holy Trinity Cathedral, which has beautiful acoustics, starting at 7:30 on Thursday, 25th. I think I'm right in saying, Nicholas, that you've agreed to give us a little taster
Well, they
of
have
what's
put
to
me on the
come?
spot. I can. I'm more than happy to. Here we go. Everybody's looking.
Nicholas Martin live on Radio Gibraltar and GBC Television.
Por una cabeza todas las locuras, su boca que besa borra la tristeza, calma la amargura. Por una cabeza, si ella me olvida, ¿qué importa perderme 1000 veces la vida? ¿Para qué vivir?
Qué bonito. Bravo, Nicholas Martin, live on Radio Gibraltar and GBC Television. He hadn't planned that, but you're a good sport.
There we go.
Again, nothing tells us what to expect, quite like hearing you with the beautiful sample. Lovely, Nicholas. You're fluent in English and Spanish, obviously, but also Italian
and Portuguese. Yes.
And that gives you sort of more variety of music to choose from.
Well, not necessarily, because, when I was training at the Guildhall School of Music and Drama, you had to learn French melody, German lieder, you had to sing in Russian, you had to do all sorts of repertoire. But it does allow you to learn, well, when you know how to speak all these languages, it does open you things like, performing in Portugal, Brazil, Italy, interviews and all that sort of stuff, It just enables you for social media to be able to communicate with people from all these countries. So that is really the best way. And also when you perform in these languages, you understand, I've lived for a while in Portugal, I've been quite a bit in Italy. So it just, it just gets you right into the core of the culture of each country and the language of this.
Bev says you have a beautiful, calming and sensitive voice.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Bev, for getting in touch. A reminder then, Nicholas, if somebody has heard your beautiful voice and wants to be a part of, I can't believe it's the first time you're going to sing formally in 25 years in Gibraltar. If somebody wants to be a part of it, where can they get their tickets?
I think it's buy online and through the Gibraltar...
buytickets.gi?
I think that's the one, yes.
Okay, and it's Thursday the 25th of September at the Holy Trinity Cathedral. Pencil it into your diary. And it's starting at 7:30. And Nicholas will be performing with Lora Dimitrova on piano. Wish you the best of luck.
Cheers, Scott.
And look forward to talking to you again soon. Yeah, lovely to have you in the studio, Nicholas.